Hello, I'm Rick Joyner, and thank you for joining us for this special bulletin on current events. And I'm going to be addressing something today that is really critical for us to understand. It's very scary, but we also need to understand, it will help you to understand some of the things that are going on right now in our government in a way that we need to understand them. But I want to start with showing you a short video clip that was of a congressman speaking on C-SPAN. Pay attention to this video clip. It is only 2 minutes long. It may be the most important and powerful 2 minutes you're going to watch from something like this.
So what would you say, though, then, to somebody who says Paul Kanjorski is supporting Wall Street but not Main Street with this latest $825 billion package now moving through the House?
They are right to this extent. Why did we do that? We did that because the Secretary... Look, I was there when the Secretary and the Chairman of the Federal Reserve came those days and talked with members of Congress about what was going on. It was about September 15th. Here's the facts, and we don't even talk about these things. On Thursday at about 11 o'clock in the morning, the Federal Reserve noticed a tremendous drawdown of money market accounts in the United States to the tune of $550 billion was being drawn out in a matter of an hour or two. The Treasury opened up its window to help. They pumped $105 billion in the system and quickly realized that they could not stem the tide. We were having an electronic run on the banks. They decided to close the operation, close down the money accounts, and announce a guarantee of $250,000 per account so there wouldn't be further panic out there. And that's what actually happened. If they had not done that, their estimation was that by 2 o'clock that afternoon, $5.5 trillion would have been drawn out of the money market system of the United States, would have collapsed the entire economy of the United States, and within 24 hours the world economy would have collapsed. Now, we talked at that time about what would happen if that happened. It would have been the end of our economic system and our political system as we know it.
Okay, just to share a little bit about what we just saw, Representative Paul Kanjorski, a Democrat from the Pennsylvania 11th District. He's on the Capital Markets Subcommittee chair. You know, what he said there is so remarkable, and I know it's all over the internet. Everybody's talking about this, but he talked about how in one day, our entire economic system almost got brought down. And he said within 24 hours, the entire world economic system would have been brought down. Then he made the remark that it would have been the end of our economic system and our political system. He's talking about the day the stock market crashed, September 15th. But now think about that. We've talked about this before, but this is something we really need to understand. How could our economy have been put into a situation where it could have been brought down in a day? The entire economy. We're talking about all the hard work everyone's done to build their businesses and corporations and the value of the money and their assets. Everything else could have collapsed in a day. What in the world put us in that kind of jeopardy? We need to understand this. It's not hard to understand, but we need to understand it, okay? It could have brought the whole world's economy down. Then he talked about bringing our political system down. That's our government. The end of our government as we know it could have happened. He was not being bombastic, as you could see on this video. And it is true, we came that close. Now, he talked about how $550 billion was drawn out within a matter of an hour or so. They saw it being pulled out of the money market systems. The Fed jumped in, threw $100 billion in real quick, and to try to slow it, didn't slow it. They shut the window. They were estimating $5.5 trillion were going to be withdrawn that day. Now, first, we need to also ask the question, who did that? That had to have been systematic. It had to have been planned. I mean, those things don't happen by accident. Even if something triggers all the automatic trading programs, it doesn't cascade like that all at once. Somebody did that, which we need to understand that also. Now, one thing we need to understand when Secretary Geithner talks about how they panicked on that day. Okay, they had reason. They thought in one day they're fighting for the survival of the free world. So we need to give them a little sympathy and maybe a little credit for that, okay? And maybe we can start to understand President Obama's, abhorrence, it seems like, even though it seems like he's lightening up a little bit, but just somewhere between abhorrence and outrage at the banking system. Because I believe he genuinely is just appalled by how we let our system get to that point where this could have happened. And I can also understand why they're saying we've got to have some regulations in place so we don't get in this kind of jeopardy again. Okay? Now, I think all that's legitimate. I am glad they're so concerned. Now, I'm also not necessarily in agreement with what they're trying to do to correct these things. I'm not saying that, but I appreciate their concern. I appreciate the situation they're in and the alarm that they're in. They don't want us to get there again. Now, a lot of what happened does have to do with all these complicated investment vehicles called derivatives that are a remarkably fragile, remarkably complex system of investments that is now estimated we have hundreds of trillions of dollars invested in worldwide, many of which hardly anybody can even understand. Now, that's Wall Street, okay? Now, I don't necessarily, now how did we get there with all these complicated, like the mortgages being bundled into these investment, vehicles called derivatives, where they start betting on and trading these derivatives. Now, a mortgage should be worth what the value of the house is, what the value of the loan is. Very simple formula. How much interest you're getting. That should tell you the value. But you batch them together, make them an investment vehicle. Then you start betting on the return you're going to get and what it's really worth. And then it goes up artificially. It's not really worth that. It's worth what the mortgage is worth, that it is backing it up. But there's all kinds of speculation entered in. People became billionaires overnight, some of them multi-billionaires, some of them hundreds of billions of dollars they made almost overnight on the speculation that is based on no real value, no real contribution to materials or goods in the market or services or anything else. And you can understand how a whole part of our society, I believe our president is, and to a large degree rightly, appalled by the system. Say, we've got to do something else. And we can't let something like this bring us to the place where it could collapse everything again. Okay, now, that's good. And we do need to do that. There does need to be regulations in there. But where we're really going awry, and in my opinion, we're causing the whole situation to get much worse, not better. Is that if you could imagine, the government, we know, does not do business well. They don't manage things well. They're the worst, in general, the worst managers in the world of almost anything is the government. You don't want the government getting into business. To me, the government is wonderful as long as it stays within the realm of authority it should be in, which is the referee. They should be providing a level playing field, have clear regulations and rules so that when you play the game, it's fair. It's not going to be cheap shots and things like that. But what we've got now with the government taking over business is, if you could imagine a game where all of a sudden the referee decides they're going to start playing the game. And they start intercepting the passes or catching it. And I mean, how it would throw the whole game way out of whack. No one knows what the rules are anymore, much less, who's in this thing, whose side are they on? I mean, the confusion is unbelievable, and that's what's going on in the markets and in business worldwide. So having a right heart and really wanting to help something that really is a serious and potentially disastrous problem, I think their solutions are going to create even worse problems down the road. So what do we do about it? That's what we're going to talk about next time.